95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
J2ICS up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the second round of the J2I Endurance Series as we are here today at Virtual Imola. And my name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today. 1080p, 60 frames a second as we gear up for yet another round of the Endurance Series here with Just Two Idiots Cup Series. And it is going to be another exciting day here at Virtual Imola. And after well, I want to say last week's race, but 2 weeks ago, for the first round of the Endurance Series, where we saw carnage, all kinds of battles happening throughout the track, and just a lot of strategy being played out. I expect to see much of the same here today at the legendary Imola, which proposes a lot of the same challenges that drivers saw at Monza just 2 weeks ago. So as drivers gear up for qualifying today and get themselves ready to, well, get ready for the start of today's events, it is, I gotta say, folks, it is going to be yet another exciting race here with Just Two Idiots. Qualifying just now getting underway here as drivers making their way around the field, getting themselves ready to go here for the first time. Here we see Beaver, the number 10 driver, also last week's winner at Monza, here warming up the tires on the LMDH machine, the 10 machine, getting ready for his first flying lap here in qualifying of open qualifying, which is something that J2I here, I really think is a great thing that they do here, having open qualifying, multiple cars on track here. Not exactly always going to have the best opportune time to get those laps in that you're wanting with traffic around you. What they do also do here a little bit differently, for those of you that might not know, the first 10 minutes of qualifying is dedicated to the LMDH class. So drivers in the LMDH class will have the first 10 minutes of qualifying to themselves to be able to go around and put down their lap times. Then after 10 minutes, the GT3s will be allowed on track to begin their qualifying runs here as well. So with that being said here, folks, I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you who is tuning in here at the moment, especially for those of you for Team Void. Great to have all of you here once again cheering on Team Void and friends as we gear up for yet another night of, endurance racing here, as I'm failing to find There we go. Okay. Excuse me. Getting all my notes sorted around here, making sure they're all in the correct place that I need them to be. But anyhow, at the moment, we've got a few drivers putting in lap times at the moment, and we can take a look at their best times on the left-hand side of your screen. Team Void with Arc Send It going to be at the top of the poll at the moment with a 129.18 as their best time here at the moment as they make their way through what we could say turn 7 according to the iRacing track map here. But as I was reading through the discussions amongst the drivers earlier in their Discord, there was a lot of discussions on what was actually considered a turn and so on and so forth. It seems like iRacing considers any change in angle of the track is considered a turn at some point or another, but that is neither here nor there. So, as surprisingly as we've been following along with Beaver there for for a little bit now, the number 25 machine that we are now looking at, the purple and kind of a lime greenish color there. That maybe my eyes. No, that definitely looks like a lime green. Maybe a subtle. I'm not good with colors, folks. Okay, I'm sorry. DC, though, going to be coming in at the top of the podium now with a 128.655. And as I say that, Beaver, number 10 driver, also last week's winner, once again, a 128.54. And I keep saying last week's winner. Some of these drivers did attend the sprint race that we had last week for the J2I Sprint Series. And that's why I keep referring to last week, because we did have a race here with J2I, but just not for the Endurance Series. So I apologize if I keep saying last week. The first race of the Endurance Series was 2 weeks ago. So just to clarify that before we get any further here. So already we're seeing the field starting to tighten up here for the LMDH class here in qualifying, and I don't really have a whole lot to go off of for these drivers and what they're capable of here at Imola, so we're kind of going in with a blind eye. We're going to see what these drivers are going to have for pace here in qualifying, at least, you know, excuse me, their one-lap pace, if you will. Not necessarily short run speed by any means, because ultimately they're not going to be able to put in enough laps here during qualifying to be able to justify a short run speed. Maybe some drivers will be able to if they utilize the full 20 minutes that we have here for qualifying. I do believe that the LMDH drivers are still able to stay out on track after the 10 minutes is up. Maybe I'm thinking incorrectly here. I think I am thinking incorrectly here, but either way, either how. So even with 10 minutes, let's say, it's not necessarily going to be a full short run, if you will, but going to get an idea of what drivers are going to be able to accomplish when they have clean air ahead of them, and ultimately just the mindset of going fast and trying to accomplish just that here. And so far, we are seeing a rather tight field in the top 4 of the LMDH class, and you can almost even put Captain CK in there, as he's, I mean, a half a tenth a second, barely 5/10 of a second away from Slugnificent in 4th place at the moment. So he's very, very close here as we're watching on board. Well, not on board, but we're watching the number 50 machine make his way around track and across the checkered line. Going to be a 137.431 this time by, and AJ, actually, as he comes across the line in the 45 machine, is going to surpass that with a 129.277. So, and he gets a little bit wide coming out of the chicane and into the sand. And you know, Imola is, again, one of those tracks that similar to Monza, where there are going to be some tricky turns, some very, very tight corners that drivers are going to have to take here, especially I have to remember the the actual track number, the actual turn number of 11 and 12, that very, very tight chicane. That is where drivers are going to find themselves getting pinched, especially in the opening laps of today's race. So navigating those chicanes, especially 11 and 12, and avoiding other drivers around you is going to be a tricky task. Granted, here at J2Y, there's no cautions going to be thrown throughout the race, so you don't necessarily have to worry about a safety car coming out here. The only thing that you have to worry about is making sure that your race, at the end of the day, once the checkered flag is flown, that your race is solid, that you made no mistakes as far as you were in your ability. You made as little mistakes as possible, is what I'm trying to say here. That's ultimately the philosophy here at J2I, is that once you finish the race, once things are all said and done, admins will review the race, and any incidents, they can be looked at. I'm losing my words here, folks. Anyhow, the 10 minutes have ended here for the LMDH classes as they have made their way down into the pits. And the first drivers for the GT3 class going to be out on track will be Prince Adam, Biker Pilot, Squilliam. There's actually a few drivers. Squilliam is going to be the first driver officially out here for the GT3 class, as at the moment he is leading the rest of the pack, along with his teammate, I think, is just behind him, of Remote Crawdad in the 606 machine, not the 666 machine. Almost looked like the 666, but this will be the first look at what the GT3 field's pace is going to look like here. And as I'm looking at timing and scoring, it seems that a lot of our LMDH field didn't get a full time in here, or maybe it's getting cut off for some reason. I'm not sure if that's an error on SDK's part, or what the issue might be there, but we're watching Paper Bag and the 420 machine make their way. Garlic Dog, yes, coming in, clarifying for me that only GT3 drivers are allowed on track after the first 10 minutes. And that's what I had to correct myself after, or at least I thought about that after I said it. I was like, wait a second, I think that's actually not true. So yes, only the GT3 drivers are going to be out on track here at the moment. So all of the LMDH drivers have completed their qualifying, and at the moment, we have yet to see a completed lap here from any of the GT3 drivers. I think Remote Crawdad is going to be the first driver on a flying lap here. And I believe he might be the first one to put down an official time here. I'm not... For some reason, it's showing Remote Crawdad is on his third lap at the moment. So I'm not sure if that's actually true or not. We'll wait and find out here, as, again, Squilliam is the furthest ahead of the group. So he should theoretically be the first driver to put in a time here, and we'll see both himself and his teammate, Remote Crawdad, up on the timing and scoring here in just a moment. Up on the timing board on the left-hand side of our screens, as Squilliam makes his way through 14 and 15. And on to the final, what is essentially not necessarily a straightaway, but you could consider it that way in this case, as Squilliam makes it across the line, and there it is, a 142.504 here for the number 6 machine. Going to be placed 11th overall, but will be first for the GT3 field at the moment. Fuzzy Taco is going to come in on second for the GT3 field. Rocky in third, and Biker Pilot going to be in fourth as they make their way across the line here in a very, very interesting split that we have between second and third place here in the GT3 is about a 2-second gap. Well, more like a 1.5 second, a little bit less than that, actually, as Bar South comes in and fills in that gap there for third place. So we're going to see what the pace is going to be like here for our GT3 drivers. And actually, while we didn't get a moment to ride on board with any of our LMDH drivers, let's go ahead and just for this lap, ride on board here with Rocky, the number 22 driver, sitting currently in fourth place with a 1:44 as his best time for his first hot lap around Imola. A very, very tricky section of the track, turns 9 and 10 that he just exited out of, and here it is 11 and 12. Very tight chicane and not a whole lot of room for any other drivers around you, so you have to be careful and try not to take anyone side by side through that, because you are not going to make it through it. Definitely a chokehold, a choke point in the track here. In another spot here, 14 and 15. It is very, very easy to overdrive it going into 14 and really, really overshoot the braking point there going down into, again, into turn 14. You misinterpret that braking point. You also start to shift all of that weight of that car to the front as it's a downhill. Things just start to go from bad to worse before your very eyes, and it's a very, very unfortunate thing to happen during a race, a lengthy race such as the one that we have here tonight. So just about 4 minutes left here in qualifying, so not much time left here for the drivers that are out here putting in laps at the moment. A few drivers that are not putting in laps. Long Island Nerd here, the 02 driver, getting a little bit bent out of shape here, because I think he's going to let the rest of traffic on by before he re-enters the track here. But a few drivers here of the GT3 class have not made their way out onto track here. Crew in the 737 machine, Dom 38 Papa, that's a great name, in the number 91 machine. Actually, no, that was Dom is with the LMDH class, excuse me. I am VCOG is also with the GT3s. That has not put down a time here yet either. So a few drivers going to be opting to either start from the tail end of the field or from the pits. Whether that we'll see that decision once we see the field start to grid up here. But I would have to imagine that that's going to be their strategy here, and probably a safe one at that. I know that for a lot of drivers in the iRacing service, when you first start out, anyone for that matter, including myself, you generally don't want to start at the front of the field. That just doesn't always end the best way, and especially here on a track like Imola, where turn one, well, it's gonna be an interesting show to say the least. So as we prepare for that and get ourselves ready, Squilliam, Fuzzy Tacos, and Nicolator all going to be at the top three of our GT3 podium at the moment, or poll at the moment. Squilliam with a 141.841, absolutely dominating the GT3 field at the moment, with Fuzzy Tacos again with a 142.38, Nicolator in a 142.93 as their best time. So a little bit bigger of a difference that we have between pace here in the GT3s, but that's really in the top three. When you start to go down to between 4th and 6th place, that's where things get a little bit more complicated for their times, and they're all pretty much fighting for scraps at this moment, as Bar South 22, the 75 driver, going to make his way out of that fight with a 142.95. Now going to be up there with Nicolator, currently in 3rd place at the moment. So with only little less than a minute now before we wrap things up here, and the checkered flag flies. Everyone, all of these drivers trying to do everything that they can to put in the best times that they can, as we're seeing at the moment. Nicolator with Team N Squared, his teammate McMurk, I think is here, but has not put in a time yet. I think is still fighting to put in an official time here. It looks like there hasn't been an official time registered with his laps here at the moment. So hopefully he's able to get one in before time is all said and done. But at the moment, Squilliam with Team the Woomates is going to be at the very tippy top with Remote Crawdad, his teammate, there in second place. Fuzzy Tacos I think Fuzzy Tacos does not have... Oh, there he is, up. Fuzzy Tacos with Team PAFD. Got me again. Oh, boy. All right, so... Checkered flag is out here for qualifying, as I was looking for Fuzzy Tacos' team there. We get ourselves ready to go and set up for our, I think there might actually be a warm-up session. No, I think we're going right to grid. Folks, I'm having a very long schedule this week between broadcasting and real-life work, so my memory is a little scattered at the moment, so I'm doing my best here, but that's neither here nor there. We're watching Prince Adam, and also I think Long Island Nerd. I think that might actually be wrapped up here as Prince Adam comes across the checkered line here to complete his final lap with a 143.91 as his best time here. And I think Long Island Nerd and, yep, both Prince Adam are going to bring their cars to a stop here and wrap things up. And it looks like actually I missed a driver, McMurk. Going to be out here still going to be looking to put in a time here for Team N Squared. His teammate Nicolator going to be up there currently in 4th place at the moment. Let's see what he's going to do as he comes across the line here. Is it going to be enough to be a pole position? It will not, as it's going to be at the tail end of the qualifying field at the moment with 13th, but still 2 other drivers behind him that did not put in a time here. So still a little bit of room to work with here for McMurk, but also some other drivers behind him that will be, I'm sure, fighting for positions, or at least on the lookout for things to happen here in the opening laps as we get ourselves ready to kick things off here. And let's run through our starting grid of the race. Up in the front of the LMDH field is Beaver in Void, DC in Slugnificent in the 2nd row, Captain CK and AJ taking up the 3rd row, Sector, Eat My Dust in the 4th row, Brando and Lamp in the 5th row, and Dome Papa in the final row, in 6th row for the LMDH field. Squilliam is also going to be in that 6th row, technically, according to the grid here, but he will be at the front of the GT3 field. Remote Crawdad and Fuzzy Tacos will be in the 7th row. Nicolator, Bar South in the 8th row. Rocky and Biker Pilot going to be in the 9th row. Paper Bag and Prince Adam going to be in the 10th row. Long Island Nerd and Garlic Dog in the 11th row. Book and McMurk going to be in the 12th row. As we move into the final row, Crew and IMB Cog taking up the 13th row here tonight. And with just under a minute left to go here before we see the safety car make its way around the field for the very first time here at Imola. And a little bit of a good look of the field here as they get themselves ready to roll off here for the first time. All right, and away we go here as drivers make their way around the field and get themselves ready to go for the start of today's race. And for those of you that might be looking for a particular driver on the track here, we don't get a chance to see every single driver on our timing and scoring here, unfortunately. But if you are looking for a driver, I will do my best to make my way through the field as the GT3 field, or excuse me, the LMDH field makes their way across the checkered line here for the first opening lap and going into turn number 1. Beaver making his way nice and easy, nice and smooth. A little bit of side-by-side action. A driver in the grass, Captain CK, as the rest of the field makes their way in and out. And Beaver off to a great start, making his way through and away from the field. Back to the GT3 field, though, as they just approach here into turn number 1. Squilliam doing a very good job getting his way in and out. Let's see if there's going to be any drivers going side by side. A couple side-by-side action here, but not a whole lot of action that we saw even from the LMDH field. It was quite calm. So great start here for this field and for these drivers as we get a little bit of a look from above here from our blimp camera here at Imola, and we see the action from what's happening from up here in above. But back here at turn 11 and 12, we see what's happening here for the LMDH drivers as they make their way through the tight chicane here into the final few turns of 14 and 15. The tricky downhill left-hander into turn 14. So far, so good for this field. A very good start to a very long race here for these drivers. And looking back here at the GT3s, also having similar success here as they make their way in and out of the chicane here of 11 and 12. And we're going to ride on board here with Long Island Nerd in the O2 as we come into the downhill left-hander of turn 14. Long Island Nerd being very cautious not to get the and that's exactly what you want to avoid here coming out of 15. Getting that rear end a little bit loose and getting away from you. That's the last thing you want to have happen, especially in the opening laps here. A few battles happening around track here, but the closest one here between Crew and Long Island Nerd. The 737 Lamborghini trying to get as close as he can to the tail of the O2 Long Island Nerd as they make their way here through the a little bit less of a complicated chicane of 5 and 6 and here into the tight left-hander of turn number 7. Going to get a little bit of momentum here all the way to turn number 8 here before they make that final turn. Heading into turns 9 and 10. The sharp left-hander, which, as we just saw here with Fuzzy Tacos, the number 17 driver, can sometimes get you if you're not careful. It is a very fast turn, but you have to slow down to make that sharp right-hander, as you can't carry a whole lot of speed through it as much as you want to because of how much runoff on that particular part of the track that there is. You feel like you can take a few extra mile an hour through it when reality, it's a little bit more difficult than that, but we've got great side-by-side action happening here towards the midfield here in the GT3 class. Biker Pilot, Bar South 22, going to be side-by-side as they make their way heading into turns number 1. Bar South 22 on the inside here through the chicane of 1 and 2. Bar South going to be the one coming out on top of the battle as Biker Pilot continues to trail on the edge here. Squilliam, though, big trouble here for the number 6 Ferrari as he makes contact with the wall. And I think if I recall correctly, damage might not be. No, I think I'm wrong on that. But either way, either how, Squilliam, oh, big contact to the front end of that Ferrari as he makes his way through the sand and makes his way down into pit road. I do believe that there are fast repairs available for these drivers, so it is not exactly the end of the world, but it will be a major disadvantage here for drivers that had the lead. It's still early in the race, so it's not the end of the world, but again, it will have a major impact on the rest of their race here today. As we continue to watch along with the GT3 field, as right now they've got a lot of the action for them, but Captain CK and Sector both going to have a little bit of action here up towards the front of the field, as well as we're going to go ahead and ride on board here with the number 50 driver of Captain CK of Team Love Seat as they make their way here through turns 11 and 12. The tight chicane, and there's a good preview of what it's like to make it through that chicane here, kind of in the quote-unquote passenger seat here of the LMDH, even though there's barely enough room for one driver, let alone a passenger as well. So either way, either how, these cars are incredibly quick and can also be incredibly easy to overestimate at any given point. So these drivers are definitely doing a phenomenal job here managing their race at the moment, as Captain CK, 7th place in the LMDH class, tries to work his way up the field for Team Love Seat, as he's down currently 2 spots from where he started in 5th. A little close to the tail end of the number 95 machine, but I'm sure that's exactly what he's trying to do here, is close that gap and bring that distance down to be able to potentially make a pass here, as a few drivers getting off track here and there. And I think the last one that we just saw there riding on board with Captain CK was Biker Pilot, the number 42 machine, here having a little bit of an issue here in that number 42 machine. Biker Pilot with Team Rookie mistake, I would say probably I don't mean this in a mean way, Biker Pilot and Long Island Nerd, if you're listening, but I feel like that's a very fitting name, because you know what, I feel like any rookie that is done sim racing sees a driver in that sort of position, on track, just hanging out in the sand. We've all been there. And it just gives me flashbacks to when I've been there. So it doesn't, like I said, no hard feelings, no poking fun at anybody here, just reminiscing. Oh, whoa, we've got trouble though. Prince Adam, the 43 machine, also going to be slow on the straight here, heading into I believe turn 5. Not an ideal situation to be here, and also a lot of traffic that these LMDH drivers are now having to work. Wow, look at all of that traffic as Captain CK tries to work his way on through here. We're going to look on board here for just a second as he just makes his way in and out of the GT3 traffic, but that is exactly what you have to be able to work around here in these endurance races. And great driving from all of these guys here at the moment, as so far, I mean, realistically, we've only had a couple incidents, actually count them, 3 incidents that we've had on track of drivers crashing. So you know what? I give my hats off here to the guys here at J2I, because you know what? Compared to what we saw 2 weeks ago, moons difference. You know what? Fantastic work from all of these drivers. And you know what? It's not even the fact that they had great racing at Monza. Don't get me wrong. But man, was there a lot of carnage in the first opening laps. That was something else. But they seem to have locked it up here at Imola and really got things together here, as we've got some excellent battles happening up here. Heading back into turn number 7, we can see DC and Slugnificent both going to go at it here for third place in the LMDH class. And right now it looks like Beaver is going to be the guy that to really take things away here. At the moment, once again, I mean, really showing his dominance in the LMDH. So really great to see Beaver up there leading the field and also having as much of a gap as he has. Sector, though, a little bit of trouble here through the chicane of 11 and 12, having to recorrect and get himself out of the way of, oh boy, this could be interesting here. All right, no harm, no foul, but definitely a white knuckle situation, I think, for Sector, while the rest of the field was making their way around. But we're watching here once again with Fuzzy Tacos and Fuzzy Tacos with Team PAFD. Again, I wish I could, as funny as the name is, I'm gonna respect the iRacing broadcasting policy and not cross that threshold. We'll leave things PG here for the most part. But the name is funny. Anyhow, I'm actually quite impressed to see how close a lot of this field is as far as really just lap traffic is involved. Not even necessarily lap traffic, but just general traffic around the circuit here at the moment. We've got a couple different battles between, well, actually, we've got a really good battle here between Prince Adam and Fuzzy Tacos. Or Adam actually going to be able to get just out ahead here, but it's going to be Fuzzy Tacos on the inside with the BMW, with a blue and white and black 17 BMW here with Team PAFD. That's going to come out on top of that battle here with Prince Adam for 8th place in the GT3 class as they approach turn 11 and 12 here at Imola. So for everyone who's tuned in here and is watching at the moment, I want to thank all of you who are watching here and are enjoying the race. It is great to have you all here, and it is an absolute pleasure. So thank you all for watching, and hopefully you are all enjoying the action so far, as there is still quite a bit of racing left to be done here before we are even close to wrapping things up. And at the moment, Beaver is your class leader and overall leader for the LMDH class. And right now, Remote Crawdad is actually going to be in the lead for the GT3 as well for his team, the Woo Mates, as Squilliam had quite a bit of an issue, quite a bit of a, well, rough time coming out of turn 3, the first chicane there that we have out of turn 1. Well, Will Hamasfar is saying iRacing wouldn't let me take a fast repair, so his night is done. So I'm going to assume that is Squilliam reporting for the number 6 driver, number 6 machine, that iRacing is not going to let him take the fast repair and that he is going to be out of the race. I'm stunned, to say the least here. This is not the first time. Oh boy, great racing here though between Book and Prince Adam in the GT3 field. Fuzzy Tacos also slightly in the midst of this battle here as well. But yeah, back to my oh man, I can't. How is this going to end here as we enter into turn 1? Prince Adam going to be able to build up a little bit of distance between himself and Book as he tries to stay on the tail of Fuzzy Tacos. And as it kind of levels out here between these drivers, they're not so close to one another. iRacing seems to be having some issues as of late with the new updates that they've introduced into the software, or well, into the service, I should say. Just a lot of different interesting things that have come to light. Recent issues, for example, the auto fuel seems to not be working for a lot of drivers, or some drivers. It's a hit or miss sort of situation. From what I understand. I myself haven't had the opportunity to use it, but it has definitely affected some drivers that I have had the chance to broadcast for, and it has definitely been an issue there. So I'm not certain if that is an issue that is related to that, but I can only imagine that it is definitely not helping by any stretch of the imagination here as we settle things out. And right now the field is quite calm at the moment, as right now I'm not exactly certain if we have so I don't have any pit lap information, so I'm not exactly certain when drivers are going to be coming down into pit road here for the first time, but I do know that drivers will be coming into the pits at some point during this race. So when that will be, I think, is yet to be determined, but at the moment we are 12 laps into this race at the moment as far as the LMDH class is concerned. For the GT3s, they are working on about lap 10 at the moment. So with that in mind, we are going to see what sort of battles start to potentially develop as tires degrade over time. Eventually, we will see drivers start to lose their pace here a little bit and start to fall off from their spots and start to build up a little bit more distance than what they would like between their competitors. But for Remote Crawdad, I think that's exactly what he wants to see happen here is drivers like Rocky and Nicolator to burn through those tires. He's going to want them to make mistakes, have to, slide around on the track and really burn through those tires to slow them down, really prevent them from gaining any sort of advantage on him in any sense, if that makes sense. But hopefully it does. So while things are, again, relatively calm now on the track after 13 laps of racing here so far, again, 13 laps for the LMDH class, that is not for the GT3s, but still the point remains is that we are starting to see drivers get a bit of distance between themselves, start to see a little bit of clean air develop ahead of them, and as I say that, it looks like Sector here is going to be closing the distance between himself and the 39 driver of Lamp. And if you're wondering what Lamp, I'm talking about the Lamp from the Pixar intro. If you know what I'm talking about, that's Lamp. So Lamp here doing a phenomenal job after retiring from a life of animation here in the racing career now. The sim racing path definitely showing his name here for the LMTH. I'm just kidding, folks, but Fuzzy Tacos and Paper Bag, they continue to have a little bit of a battle here as they've got a bit of traffic in between them as they try to make their way around it, but very, very quick intermittent battles that we have forming here, as I would imagine LMDH drivers getting in the mix of GT3 drivers and slowing the pace down and so on and so forth. So we're going to see those little bits of changes here and there over the course of today's race, and frankly over the course of what we'll see here at Imola. That is frankly just the nature of this track. It is a relatively small and relatively technical track that we have here, so it's going to offer a lot of really, really great racing here, and we're seeing a lot of it already. With DC and Slugnificent going to have a little bit of a battle here for third place. Going to see if DC is able to retain his, well, I'm sure he'll more than likely be able to if he's able to keep the pace that he's going at the moment and not make any crucial mistakes here. Slugnificent going to do all that he can to try and find where DC is slow. What sector is DC really kind of lacking in that he can pick up on, and that's really going to be a game of cat and mouse when you really start to break it down. There is a perfect example of it. Slugnificent, a very, very good exit out of turn number 6, able to reduce that time down to under a quarter of a second now, as Slugnificent going to be on the inside. Oh, almost making contact here as they make their way out of the fast left-hander and through turn number 10 down to the short straight to the chicane of 11. And it looks like, nope, that was Remote Crawdad, the 606 driver, the leader of the GT3 field that they're currently making their way around at the moment. So DC going to continue to do all that he can to push on the opponent of Slugnificent here. I'm going to see if I can find so DC, I believe, yeah, DC with Team Bong Life Motorsport, going to continue to try and track down Slugnificent. From now on, Slugnificent is now going to be known as Slug here in the broadcast, just for simplicity's sake. But Slug, I don't think has a team listed here in my notes, so we'll have to figure out what team Slug is driving for, but at the moment Slug is going to continue his reign in third place at the moment. But for the lead, Beaver continues to drive it away and also continues to outpace the rest, the rest of the field, as he's got about 8 seconds separating himself and Void at the moment in second place. So I don't know what Beaver's got underneath the hood of that thing, besides all of the obvious LMDH complicated components that are a part of that car. Maybe he slipped in a NOS bottle in there, maybe 2 NOS bottles, or maybe he's even got a Terpsky in there. I'm not sure. Either way, either how, Beaver is doing a phenomenal job in his race here tonight and dominating this field so far. Remote Crawdad, the GT3 driver and leader, going to be also having a phenomenal race at the moment, and also having a even more significant gap between himself and the GT3 field than Beaver does at the moment, with almost 13 seconds separating himself and Rocky, who sits second place in the GT3, 12th overall. Absolutely stunning. Well, I was hoping to display the name of the teams that we have here for you folks at home, but doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that. That's A-okay, though. But look at the battle that we're starting to see develop up here for the LMDH field. Void, Slugnificent, and DC all going to be in a little bit of a draft here. Let's actually go ahead and, while we're watching, let's go ahead and ride on board with DC in a different camera angle, because apparently my camera operator decided to put a fisheye lens on our helmet cameras today, so we'll skip that. But wow, Void getting a little bit off track here and having to recover from that one. The 25 machine gonna now fall back into 4th place after a very, very dominating 2nd place lead or hold for the first 18 laps of today's race. So Void's going to have a little bit of work ahead of him. He's going to have to also be careful not to, let emotions get the best of you. I know sometimes myself, when I'm behind the wheel and I make mistakes like that, sometimes you get a little bit too heated, and one mistake's turned into another, and it's a domino effect. But that's what separates the good drivers from the best drivers, is that ability to be able to hold yourself calm and be able to work through those situations and not make it worse. As looks like, no, that is not who I wanted. Long Island Nerd, the O2 driver, going to find himself with quite a few GT3 drivers around him trying to make their way around the O2 machine, but luckily coming out from it unscathed and without any dings or paint scrapes to any sides of that O2 machine. So still got that beautiful paint scheme on there with Long Island Nerd and his teammate. Give me a moment as I... Biker Pilot, there we go. And excuse me for not learning all of these teams already, as, well, the J2I folks, not only do I have to learn the team names here for the Endurance Series, but I also have to learn them for the Sprint Series. So, yeah, that's a great challenge for myself when I have 3 other leagues, I believe, that I also have to memorize as well. So it's a great, well, not necessarily memorize, but be familiar with. And I'm not always the best with names, if you can't already tell. But it is getting rather interesting up here for the LMDH field, as we can see, DC, Slugnificent, as well as, I believe, Void, also in the mix here, working their way through other LMDH drivers, I believe lap drivers at the moment. Wait a second. perhaps that was AJ. I'm not exactly 100% certain on that, but either way, either how, Void gonna find himself with a bit of GT3 traffic that he, oh boy, what do we got going on here? DC, oh, this is the perfect opportunity here for Void in exactly what he's gonna want to see here. A great move on the inside from Void on Slugnificent, and we've got a GT3 driver absolutely sending it into the wall. That is gonna be Book with the 560 machine. But Void, a phenomenal move on the inside of Slugnificent to retake second place here in the LMDH class. A phenomenal move here by Void, the 25 driver, showing his skills here and really trying to track down Beaver in that number 10 machine, who continues to, again, just drive it away with this lead, and continues, again, according to timing and scoring, is outpacing the rest of the field by what I would imagine is quite a bit at the moment. His last time around was a 129.29, and we can actually take a look at that on the left-hand side of your screens. A 129.29 was his last time by. Let's actually see what his current time is as he comes across the line. A 129.338. Extremely consistent here for Beaver, and let's see what Void's time is going to be as he makes his way across the line as well. A 132.723. So this is the difference that we are seeing between the leader and, frankly, the rest of the field. Brando with a 130.11 across the line here, as we see DC and Slugnificent both down in the pits, gonna grab tires and fuel. We can see DC up on the jacks right now, getting those fresh tires installed before he makes his next stint here. Remote Crawdad, Rocky, and Nicolator are going to be the top three here still for our GT3 class. And let's actually talk about a different topic here for drivers, and that is the highest mover and shaker overall in this race here today. And that is going to be the 1-2-3 driver of Brando here in third place at the moment. He started 6 spots ahead of this, so 9th place here for Brando, and all the way up into third here already, as we are approaching just over a half hour into our race here today. So Brando doing an absolutely phenomenal job here in tonight's race, having secured third at the moment and still fending to keep that spot here today, as we're continuing to wait to see when pit stops are going to be for our drivers, and when they are officially going to begin here for our field. As right now, I'm still not 100% certain when that's going to be. So a little bit of action developing here between Eat My Dust and Captain CK. Eat My Dust, the 24 driver, right on the rear wing of the 50 machine as they approach their way into turn number 8. And ooh, a little bit too much here for the 24 machine, trying to get as close as he can and potentially try and encourage a mistake here for the 50 driver, but it is not going to work in his favor as they come into the chicane of turn 11 and 12 and make their way on through here. So Captain CK going to continue to hold out his 4th place position here and defend it against Eat My Dust, the 24 driver. As again, I would have to imagine at least halfway through their stints at the moment. Well, maybe not even halfway, at least 3/4, if not more. I can't imagine that they're going to want to stay out much longer. And as I'm saying that, here comes Lamp, the number 39 driver, down into pit road to begin his first stop of the race here today. So perhaps this is an indication that we will start to see more drivers make their way down into the field or into the pits and start their cycles here today as well. Watching along with Slugnificent in the 014 machine at the moment as he makes his way through turns 1, 2, and essentially turn 3 as well, with the left-hander going into the straightaway. But overall, folks, I really want to emphasize how clean this race has been for this field, for these drivers. And, I mean, if I was being realistic, this is very close to being, even if there was cautions enabled in this race, this is very, very close to being a almost caution-free race. So huge hats off to all of these drivers here today. It wouldn't have been possible without each and every one of their commitment to making it happen. And whether or not they were all intending on making a clean start to this race, or whatever the case might have been, if that was the intention, or just hoping to have a good start to the race, whatever the case may be, it was truly great to see it executed on everyone's behalf. Everyone put in their effort to make that happen, to make that clean start happen, and to keep this race going cleanly as it has these past now 24 going on 25 laps here for this race here at Imola. Absolutely fantastic to see it happen here for the second race of the Endurance Series. A great thing to see. And hopefully we get to see the racing continue to improve, continue to see more drivers start to work their way up the field, improve their pace over the course of the season. It will be a truly great thing to witness, and I'm excited to see it. Right now, I mean, obviously, that was a bold decision here, potentially, by Captain CK. We all saw it here, the hesitation by Captain CK. I think he thought about it and said, you know what, nope, I'm still quick enough, I can keep out another lap, maybe more. You know what, we're still seeing Beaver, Void, Brando, they're all still out here clicking off laps. Even Sector, the 95 machine, who was also having a good run towards the beginning of the race, also still out on track. We are seeing, though, Remote Crawdad, the leader of the GT3 field, start to make his way back out onto track now, and still also managing to stay in first place here, as well as the top 5 behind him have also coming down into pit road to grab fuel and tires. So perfect timing here for Remote Crawdad, as he's going to be able to get back out onto track the quickest amongst his peers, and be able to build up that gap that he has worked hard for. Right now, about a 20-second gap separating himself and the rest of the pack at the moment, or at least the rest of the GT3 pack at the moment. So as pit stops are underway here for the most part. Did I just see another? No, I didn't. Okay. For some reason, I thought I saw another pink car, and I thought it was Squilliam, who might have came back, but I don't think Squilliam would have, I don't think Squilliam is going to be making that decision here. So Book is going to have himself a little bit of an issue here in the 560 machine here on lap 21 for the GT3 class, as he recovers himself back out onto track here, and still looking good in the old Lamborghini. I gotta say, you know, amongst all the GT3 cars, and this might be maybe a little bit of an unpopular opinion, maybe not actually. I personally think the Lamborghini probably looks the best amongst the GT3s. I won't disagree that it doesn't drive the best, but it certainly does look the best. So there's that. There's always, you know, the look factor is always half the battle when you're racing. You know, if you don't look cool, then what are you doing? Again, I'm only kidding, folks. So, while we have this time, and while things are pretty calm, pretty quiet out here on track, I want to take a moment and let's go ahead and actually ride on board and listen to the sights and sounds here at Imola, along with Biker Pilot in the number 42 machine, again from our handy-dandy passenger camera, as our camera guy is doing his best. So, with that in mind, folks, we're going to go ahead and take a listen to the sights and sounds here at Imola. Great ride on board here with the 42 driver, Biker Pilot, as he continues his fight here in 5th for the battle for 4th place here at the moment, with Nicolator in that number 5 Mercedes. Nicolator trying to do all that he can to keep things close here between the two for Team N Squared, and Nicolator doing a fantastic job of keeping Biker Pilot away from him at the moment, but Biker Pilot with Team Rookie Mistake trying to show that the names aren't always everything, and there is actually quite a bit of skill behind the wheel of that number 42 machine, as we're getting to see right now, as he cracks his way further, or attempts to crack his way further into the top 5 of the GT3 field. So a few drivers, really only a couple drivers at the moment, starting to see a little bit of battle starting to develop around them, but for the most part, it is relatively calm out here on track at the moment. We're seeing again Nicolator Biker Pilot as Lamp, the 39 driver, gets himself a little bit out of shape here, and tries to recorrect himself and getting back onto the right direction here. And Brando and Eat My Dust, as they go through turns 5 and 6, now going to have a little bit of an opportunity here to potentially have a three-way battle at the moment, as Eat My Dust is right on the tail of Brando, trying to secure a position here into the top 5 of the LMDH class, and Brando is not going to make that easy here for Eat My Dust. Brando going to be with team. Let's see if he's got an actual team here. Drum roll, please. I don't think so. All right, so Brando with Team Brando. Now going to continue to hold on to his 5th place spot here at the moment. But as we encroach we'll call it the 45-minute mark here of this race, we're actually, yeah, we're past that point. Sorry, folks, math. As we're at the little bit under the 45-minute point of this race, you can really start to feel the tension build up here as time starts to wear down. Mistakes start to matter more and more. You don't have as well. The repercussions for your mistakes start to matter a lot more than when they did when you might have started this event here. And even an hour and a half endurance is, in the grand scheme of endurance races, isn't a whole lot of time. So again, mistakes early on, while they won't cost you as much, they definitely will hurt you once you get even halfway or further into this race. And right now, Biker Pilot, Nicolator continue their fight for 4th place here as they make their way into the tight chicane of 11 and 2, as we continue to ride back on board here with Biker Pilot, the number 42 machine. Biker Pilot really showing his strengths here, chasing down Nicolator in the number 5 Mercedes, and let's see how he does into the downhill left-hander. Very good work there. Both of these drivers showing very good pace, very good speed at the moment. And as I believe both of these drivers, actually, Biker Pilot is going to be on slightly older tires, but only a few laps older than Nicolator here. And at the moment, they're only maybe between 10 to 13 lap old tires for either one of these drivers. So not exactly a massive difference between the two, but it is definitely going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to utilize. Oh boy, Biker Pilot really on a mission here, trying to close the distance between himself and Nicolator, showing some very good runs here. We're going to have to continue that push here, continue to close the gap as looks like for the LMDH class, we've also got Brando seeing Eat My Dust, the number 24 machine, start to close in on the rear of that 1, 2, 3 machine as they come out of the final turns and across the checkered line here at Imola. Taking a moment here to ride on board with Eat My Dust and the 24 machine, just to get a little bit of a perspective here from our LMDH drivers, or a little bit more of a perspective here, as we've seen it already a little bit, but it doesn't hurt to look more. It never ceases to amaze me just how fast these LMDH cars are. Even in sim, they are just astonishingly quick. Fuzzy Tacos and Rocky are both going to have a little bit of a bout here, potentially for second place in the GT3 field, as we start to see that develop and really start to be the closest battle that we have out here on track at the moment. As we'll take a look out the rear view of the number 22 machine of Rocky. Rocky going to be with Team Gitmo. Holding it down in second at the moment, and Fuzzy Tacos with PAFD still continuing to put up a fight here in the top three and trying to close the distance between them if he possibly can here. So while we were a little quiet there for a moment, watching the field get themselves settled in for what will essentially be the final stint of the night, if you will. I believe there will be one more pit stop. I believe one more pit stop before we officially end things off here. Oh boy, Rocky in big trouble in the 22 Porsche is going to come to a hard stop after big contact to the wall with the front end of that 22 machine. And surprisingly, the front end of that thing is not absolutely demolished. The fact that he's even still driving after a hit like that, it's amazes me. But I guess that's what, that's the advantage of having a rear mounted engine. You can do stuff like that, I guess, apparently. So if anyone wants to take their $100,000 Porsche and run it into a wall, let me know how that goes for you. And please don't actually do that. Don't take advice from a stranger on the internet. Brando, Eat My Dust, going to have a little bit of a fight here in the LMDH class, a battle for 5th place with Brando up ahead at the moment. Eat My Dust still. We've seen this battle before a little earlier, but Brando was able to build a little bit of distance between himself and Eat My Dust. And let's actually ride on board here with the number 24 driver as they navigate their way through a little bit of GT3 traffic and see just how they're going to manage this time by, and see if Eat My Dust is going to see any opportunities pop up in front of him to be able to make a pass happen here as they come through the chicane of turn 11 and 12. And it looks like Lamp is going to continue to have some troubles here as he comes out of, I believe that's turn number 3 technically. Sector also going to have a bit of an issue here, but Eat My Dust continuing to stay on the tail of Brando. Brando still doing a phenomenal job of staying consistent here, which is going to be the big name of the game, and hopefully avoid the GT3 traffic around them, as I think that was a little bit of contact between them. Oh boy, things getting dicey here as they come through the chicane. All drivers seemingly able to navigate, seemingly able to make their way out of it without any harm or foul. But definitely a very tight, a very, very interesting situation to be in here as Eat My Dust, as well as Brando, going to come out behind Rocky, the number 22 GT3 driver. And Eat My Dust a little bit of straightaway to work with here and able to build up some momentum heading into turn number 1, but it's going to be Brando on the inside, but it's not going to be Brando who comes out on top, as Eat My Dust is going to have the advantage staying on the inside and keeping that momentum through the first part of the chicane, able to come out on the inside around Brando and take that 5th place spot. So excellent move here from Eat My Dust who now is going to have a roughly 11-second gap to close between himself and DC before he's got the next driver to start competing with. Paper Bag and Biker Pilot now going to be drivers competing for position here. Biker Pilot with Team Rookie Mistake, and Paper Bag I believe Paper Bag is a lone driver. I believe he is. So Paper Bag with Team Paper Bag here in 5th place at the moment. But Biker Pilot looking to compete for points here and add a little bit more of a cushion here to Team Rookie Mistake. While I was giving myself a little bit of a drink break there for second crew, the 737 driver found himself in a little bit of a pickle in 13th here in the 737 machine. But quickly going to be able to recover from that one. And continuing on, we still see the battles happening between Paper Bag and Biker Pilot, as well as Eat My Dust and Brando. While they are starting to diminish here a little bit, and we are also closing in on the final under 30 minutes here of tonight's race, so not much time left for these drivers to really fight for position. And again, the less time that we have, the less mistakes that are going to be allowed. Oh boy, speaking of mistakes, Sector, the 95 LMDH driver getting a little bit too late on the brakes, heading into the first chicane of turn number 1 and having to drive through the sand there. I'm sure also going to have to serve a time penalty to give up that time and hopefully not have much more than that to deal with. As I'm looking at things as well here, I can't actually give that a number for that because timing and scoring does not give me that information. But drivers also do have to be aware of their incident points. So the first 16 points that you get, you serve a drive-through penalty, and after that, it is every 8 points that you serve another drive-through penalty. So I don't know if anyone has served a drive-through penalty here yet today. The only driver that I suspect may have is Crew. Actually, no, he definitely came in for damage of some kind or another, but I don't think anyone here has made any major mistakes like that, or made as many mistakes to the point where they needed to serve any sort of penalties. which is, again, a credit to these drivers. They have really locked things down for this race and are really putting on a fantastic show for us all here tonight. So great racing from everyone as we continue to watch the field and really just continue to see what they're going to do here, as we're going to take a look from above and kind of see what some of the pictures look like from up above and see where the field is currently at. Here's a good look of the right-hander of turn 10. A very easy place to make mistakes, and looks like the trees might... No, well, yeah, well, we'll just switch to this camera. How about that? As we make our way through the chicane of 11 and 12. Trying to make it cinematic or cinematic-ish for you folks watching at home, and hopefully it is still entertaining nonetheless. But paper bag, biker pilot. Oh boy, Lamp, the 39 driver, the FedEx machine, going to have a bit of trouble here on the entry into turn 14. Exactly the same spot where you will find drivers that get a little bit too, well, are just a little bit too late on the brakes heading into that turn, or maybe even just get a little bit too hot on the brakes, locking the tires up, so on and so forth. It is a very tricky turn to get perfectly every time, because you get comfortable with it and you want to take it faster and faster and faster until you reach that point where enough is too much. And it looks like actually Lamp is going to be the first potential driver here, I won't say official, but potential driver to serve a drive-through penalty here, as he has just made his way in and out of pit road. Prince Adam here as well, also coming down through the pits as well. I don't think serving an official pit stop here. I think also having a drive-through, so maybe a few more drivers than I thought, but either way, still a great thing to see. The majority of this field having a fantastic race throughout tonight, even despite potentially differing opinions once the race is all said and done here. But we will find out once we reach the checkered flag here in the next roughly about 20 minutes or so. So lap 45, and still just about, again, just a little over 20 minutes left in today's race before we see the checkered flag fly and we officially wrap things up here for today. But it has been a long race so far for these drivers here at Imola, and right as it looks like the sun is starting to set here, as well as it looks like it's starting to turn to dusk here at Imola. Or actually, you know what, never mind, I take that back. It is just the cloud coverage that we have here today making it look that way. looks like Book the 560 Lamborghini going to have some troubles here. The Whirlpool sponsored machine gonna try and get themselves sorted back out here. You know, actually, seeing the Whirlpool logo on the Lamborghini, it just feels fitting for some reason. I want to make a joke, but never mind. It looks to be up in third for the LMDH class. We've got Void in DC. Starting to see a little bit more of one another, as actually DC is going to come down into pit road for what I imagine will be the final time. Well, I would hope is going to be the final time of the night, as it should be the final pit stop for these drivers, as again, I don't think they will be able to stay out another 20 minutes on the same set of tires as well as fuel. I do imagine that they will have to come into the... I could also be wrong here. I want to say that they start on 50% fuel for this series, so that way there is a pit stop that is enforced. But I want to say that I know that they limit the fuel, but I don't remember by how much. I want to say it's 50%, but it could be a little bit of a variance in between that number. But that's neither here nor there, as our leaders in both the LMDH and the GT3 have yet to come down into pit road. Even as I say that, Nicolator, the number 5 machine, has just made his way out of pit road for what I would imagine to be a drive-through penalty, because it doesn't seem like he was in the pits for very long. But here, Slugnificent is going to be the next LMDH driver to make his way down into pit road and make a stop here. So whether or not we're going to see... Well, here comes Fuzzy Tacos as well in the GT3 class. So we do have the second place driver making his way down into the pits here as well. Slugnificent making his way out of pit road and back out onto track. As we are getting closer and closer to the end of the race here today, I am very curious to see whether we will see our LMDH or even any of our GT3 drivers try and hold out for the next 15 minutes. I really don't think that's going to happen here, as Paper Bag clips... Oh, man, clips the curb, gets the rear end unsettled on the 420 machine, also loses his rear wing. It looks more like a stock GT3 Porsche now. Well, it is what it is, but he's just going to have a little bit less downforce to work with in that Porsche, and really just going to have to take things a little bit more carefully for the final few minutes that we have. And realistically, probably only another 7 or 8 laps before we officially wrap things up here for this race here tonight. So not the end of the world, but definitely not ideal either, as that's directly where the engine is too. So hopefully there wasn't any damage done to any sort of cooling, anything back there. Pretty much all of your core components are going to be in the rear of that car. So anything breaks back there, it's going to be a long day down in pit road. Paper Bag, Biker Pilot both continue their slight battle, a loose battle we'll call it here for 5th place in the GT3 class. We also see Paper Bag again still up ahead with that missing rear wing from the 420 machine, continuing his fight here for the top 5. Remote Crawdad we haven't really talked about too much here in since his teammate Squilliam dropped out of the race and has taken the lead, and actually is a good time to talk about him now as he's coming down into pit road with just quite literally just under 15 minutes left to go in today's race. So this is going to be the final stop, and I'm curious to see if misses his stall by a little bit here. Let's see if he's going to grab tires. I'm actually curious. I would imagine he's going to. Okay. All right, so no tires are going to be taken, which, to be fair, is not exactly unusual. You don't necessarily need tires with these cars specifically. The tires are designed to last for quite a long time. So just taking fuel, not exactly out of the ordinary, but I mean, hey, you know what? That's a few extra, potentially a few extra seconds of pace difference that you would have over the rest of the field. But in the case of Remote Crawdad, I mean, do you really need it? And so now we're back to the point of the race where things are calm again. Things are spread out between the drivers. There's not a whole lot of action to be had, but for any of these guys at the moment, it's pretty much a game of stay consistent, stay clean, and hold it out until the checkered flag, which these drivers have all done this entire race thus far. Only a few more laps, and I would say this has been a phenomenal race for each and every single one of these drivers. Albeit we've seen some drivers have some issues, some mistakes that really kind of cost them dearly and have unfortunately found themselves out of the race. I think actually only 2 drivers have called it a night here. Squilliam, understandably, and Captain CK as well, in the LMDH class. I don't have the incident where Captain CK well, actually I do. We can take a look at that here right now. So let's actually see what happened here for Captain CK and the reason for his departure. Ooh. Big time ouch. And from what I understand, iRacing was having issues with allowing drivers to use their fast repairs. So I don't know. I don't know if that was I don't know if that's for every driver. I don't know if everyone was having that same issue or if it's only a couple drivers. I don't have all the details, but I will just say that it's extremely unfortunate and extremely unideal to have these sorts of things happen during a race. So whether it's on the part of iRacing or the session just got a little wonky. It's, you know, these are the woes of sim racing, if you will. These are the problems that us sim racers have to go through in order to enjoy motorsport in a cost-effective manner. Yeah, so things like this happen, and you just got to take them as they come. But it's, again, extremely unfortunate to have happen, regardless of who it happens to and why it happens, and so on and so forth. But while everyone is here, I want to take this moment to, while we are now under 10 minutes left to go, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching, and hopefully everyone has been enjoying the action so far. If you have been, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got plenty of racing content that happens throughout the week. I myself have, including this one, 4 different broadcasts that I will be doing and hosting throughout this week. Make sure you tune in this Saturday for the Team Goon Squad Endurance Series. That is going to be live at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. So make sure you guys get subscribed. Catch the action then. And if you want to get in on the action yourself, want to race with Team Goon Squad, or even the folks here at Just 2 Idiots, head on over to either of our websites. Wow, that was... wow. You can head on over to teamgoonsquad.com, or I believe it's... oh boy. Well, you can head on over to teamgoonsquad.com. For some reason, I thought J2I had a website, but I believe I'm thinking of a different league. But either way, either how, if you want to find out more information on how to join either of the series, it will be somewhere down in the description, and we will have that all for you there. But also, if you would like to support Team Goon Squad and support what we do up here in the booth, as well as with our in-house series and so on and so forth, you can head on over to our Patreon. That is patreon.com/TeamGoonSquad, and get yourself a subscription with us, and that'll get you access to a few different Discord benefits, as well as being listed in our post-credits during every broadcast, just to show you all a little bit of our appreciation for those of you who show us some, well, monetary support that allows us to continue to host things like future races, do different series, broadcast those series, as well as have live race control and many other things that go along with it. And we hope to continue to expand those things as we go forward. And Just Evo Things is saying J2I does have a site. I, for some reason, just don't have it at the moment. Or maybe I'm thinking of the wrong... okay. Yeah, so you can head on over to J2ICS.com, and that is where you can find more information about the Just 2 Idiots Cup Series. That is my apologies. I knew they had a website. I doubted myself, but thankfully... Mr. Just Evo Things here saving me and correcting me. So, all the things, if you want to head on over to, if you want to check out our Endurance series, head on over to the Team Goon Squad website, join the Discord, get all the things filled out. It's, I think, one document, one thing, and you are off to the races on Saturday, which again starts at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you would like to join the folks here at Just 2 Idiots, J2ICS.com. And once again, if you would like to help Team Goon Squad out in a little bit more ways than one, head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/TeamGoonSquad. And again, every little bit helps. It is immensely helpful to keep these things going and to allow us to keep putting on broadcasts like these, to help us continue to improve the quality of these broadcasts, improve the quality of our racing events that we host. all in all, it shows us that we have the support of our community, and we genuinely appreciate that with all of our hearts. So not only can I speak for myself, but for everyone at Team Goon Squad, for everyone who tunes into our broadcast every single week to support their favorite drivers, their favorite leagues, or supports Team Goon Squad by joining our races, whatever the case may be. We thank you all for being there and for allowing us to do what we do, because frankly, well, we love to do this, and I don't think we'd want to have it any other way. So as we are now under 5 minutes left in tonight's race, we are seeing a few intermittent entries into pit road. Void, the number 25 driver, going to be the, I would assume, well, definitely is going to be the last LMDH driver into pit road, as Paper Bag and Biker Pilot, these two seem to not be able to get away from one another as we enter into what now will be 4 minutes left in tonight's race here at Imola. And Biker Pilot going to continue to try and close in the gap and try and secure a top 5 finish here. We're going to take a ride on board one last time here with Biker Pilot in the 42 machine as we again enter our final few minutes of the race here today. And I got to say, folks, it has been a phenomenal night here at Imola and for this field. Fantastic bits of racing in a extremely clean race for J2I standards. I would say this has definitely been a massive improvement for this field to get a very good clean race in with minimal incidents. I think that I'm sure there will be some drivers that are going to have some issues after the race that aren't going to be quite happy with how certain things went down, but I think overall, for what we saw here today, and you take us back 2 weeks ago to what we saw at Monza, night and day difference. Complete 180 from what we saw at Monza. So again, just hats off, huge shout out, huge props to every single driver here in the J2I Endurance Series, because they absolutely killed it here tonight, performing as well as they have and just pushing as much as they have been all race long. It has been non-stop action all race long, even when we've started to see the field get a little bit spread out, a little bit calm, a little steady. It would pick back up again after a certain period of time. I mean, granted, we have seen, Biker Pilot, not quite the exit that you want to have there through the chicane, and that's going to cost him some time, as the speeding penalty, I'm sure, is going to cost him dearly on that one. And I've lost my train of thought, so there goes that. Last minute of the race here, it is going to be the final, what I would imagine, a final 1 or 2 laps here for these drivers here at the moment. And since Beaver hasn't really gotten hardly any any attention here tonight, being that he's just stayed out in front pretty much all by himself here. We'll take a lap on board here with Beaver just to see what the pace is like here for the number 10 driver and just see what his lines are looking like and how he's been able to retain this lead for so long throughout this race here. 10 seconds before. I wonder if he's going to be able to cross the line before. Yes, he definitely will be able to. Okay. So there it is. An hour and 30 minutes. And this race is almost officially over now that Beaver managed to come across the line just seconds before the race officially ends here. That will mean that it is going to be another lap here for Beaver. Leave it to Beaver to extend the race by a full lap here. I'm only teasing. You know what? The joke, it presented itself in front of me, and I had to take it. I'm sorry. But Beaver is once again going to take it across, well, take it around Imola for another lap before I would assume across the line for the win here tonight for an incredible victory for himself. The second win in a row here for Beaver and Team Love Seat. So Beaver taking it home for the win for himself and his fallen teammate, Captain CK, for Team Love Seat. It is going to be a victorious day, a two-time back-to-back win here for Beaver in the Endurance Series. So a great work here for Beaver. As the checkered flag flies here, it is now going to be up to the drivers remaining on track to make it across the checkered line safely here and without issue. Remote Crawdad, the 606 machine, going to be looking to finish out his race today for a win for himself, as well as Team the Woommates. A win in honor of his also fallen teammate, Squilliam. So both Beaver and Remote Crawdad, I guess they can have a... Oh, I was going to make a joke there. I can't make that joke. Okay, that's where I draw the line. Okay. All right. So Remote Crawdad here, the final couple turns, and onto the final straight, and across the checkered line to take it home here for the GT3 class in the 606 machine. Flashing the headlights in all as he comes across the line. A great victory for Remote Crawdad. And Team the Woommates, and I believe that will be the end of our race here tonight as well. So this is our post-race results as displayed on our screen, and we are going to go ahead and get ready for post-race interviews, which I believe we are only going to have the winner of each class, so Beaver as well as Remote Crawdad here in the booth. So the first driver that we're going to have up here will be Beaver, excuse me, in the number 10 machine that we'll bring up here for his interview. Beaver, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on yet another win in the Endurance Series. A second-time win coming from Monza, taking it here to Imola. Two relatively similar tracks, both in technical skill as well as just kind of really having those tight battles there for a little bit. Beaver, I'd say tight battles, but you weren't even around any of them to know they were there. So, Beaver, you dominated this week. You dominated last week. What's on your mind looking forward into the next 2 weeks here? We head to Okayama. Phillip Island is the next race that we have on the schedule. So what do you hope to accomplish there?
Well, I'd love to keep the streak going. I feel like I've been talking to you quite a bit, and I think it's a lot of fun. So I'd like to keep that up. This track, I didn't feel like this track clicked with me up until maybe, I don't know, till the race, I suppose, but practice I struggled, qualifying I didn't feel like I had any pace, but I don't know, I took the advice from my teammate. I was complaining that I was having no front grip, and he said, "Are you driving into the corners too fast?" I said, yeah, that could be it. So he helped. Thank you, Captain CK. But yeah, good race. It was a lot of fun.
Well, absolutely. And for yourself and your team, able to bring home a win, in honor, as I was saying, for your teammate, Captain CK, definitely has to be a good feeling, even, despite having a win already underneath your belt. I've already kind of seen a little bit of the banter amongst the drivers and hearing that, you are kind of the driver to beat around here. Are there any other teams out there that you are looking at that you think could really have a shot at competing with yourself and Team Love Seat?
Yeah, definitely. Everybody here's got a lot of pace. Void, especially, I think Slugnificent had his first run in this class this season, and he was pretty quick too. So definitely can't rule them out. And what does it look like? Edmadust got third. That's awesome. Brando fourth, BC fifth. So I think, there were very strong guys in here. If you took away the GT3 class, it might be a lot closer, but that traffic management is such a key thing, I think. So that's kind of the difference maker, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I 100% agree with you on that, Beaver. I think you had a great analysis there, and hopefully we get to see that kind of play out more going forward into the rest of the season. Start to see more drivers work their way up the field, and maybe start to see some battles happening between yourself and drivers like Void or Eat My Dust, but Beaver, I don't want to take up more of your time here. I know it's getting pretty late here for us folks here in the Midwest, but before you head out and before you celebrate your win here, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
I do want to shout out Rocky for getting a podium. He said he's awesome at this track, and I love it when he runs with us. So good. Shout out to Rocky. Hello, Guantanamo Bay. Hi, guys. And hello, all of J2I. Again, always a pleasure running with these guys. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. Congratulations once again on your win here, Beaver, and I look forward to seeing you not only next week, but in 2 weeks at Phillip Island.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Alrighty, folks. So that was Beaver coming home for the win in the LMDH class. Up next, and certainly is not going to be least here, Remote Crawdad taking home the win for the GT3 class in the 606 machine, and also taking home the win in honor of his teammate Squilliam, who unfortunately found himself out of the race a lot sooner than he probably wanted to. Crawdad, what was going on in the team radio once Squilliam unfortunately found himself in the wall out of turn 4? That had to have been a huge heart-stopping moment for you guys as a team.
Yeah, pretty disappointing. I think he just took a little bit too much of the sausage curves going through Tamburello and just unsettled the car and couldn't rein it back and ended up hitting the wall and just taking a little bit too much damage. And it probably would have been fine, but for whatever reason, his fast repair was not going to work. In this league, they allow you 2 fast repairs per race. and for whatever reason, he had it checked on his black box, and it just would not go. So if it hadn't been for that, he definitely would have stayed in, and he would have tried to make up as much ground as he could have. But yeah, I mean, it sucks, after having the first race, he wasn't able to get 8 points, and now this race too. But it's the beginning of the season. We got a lot more time to try to work something up and get some more team points. I'm happy to keep pushing and get the win again. So get some more points on the board, and hopefully throughout the rest of the season we can get some more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been terrific to see both yourself and your teammate Squilliam performing in these past couple races. It's unfortunate that we didn't get to see Squilliam race the entirety of this one here today, but looking forward into a couple weeks going to Phillip Island, what do you guys hope to accomplish there? Is it going to be sort of the same level of confidence that you guys had here tonight? I mean, you both seem to, before Squilliam had to unfortunately find himself down in the pits, it looked like you guys were going to take it away with a 1-2 finish tonight. I mean, do you hope to accomplish that in 2 weeks at Phillip Island?
Yeah, we're hoping to carry the same momentum. I mean, Fuzzy Tacos, he was doing pretty good too at the beginning there, so we've been just looking at him as probably our number one contender. Great drive by him, by the way, today, bringing it back up to P2 after his shunt on the first couple laps. But yeah, other than Fuzzy being probably our main contender, the one that we're looking out for, I mean, we're pretty confident in the next couple races. And Phillip Island's a fun track. We don't race it too much, but I think it'll be a lot of fun, and hopefully we can carry the same momentum, and hopefully Will can get some points on the board too. So
absolutely. Well, Crawdad, I want to, before I let you go here and do your celebrating with your teammates and fellow drivers, before you go, is there anyone that you want to shout out, that you want to thank before we end things off here tonight?
Yeah, I just want to thank my teammate Will for trying his best out there and for continuing to race after the first incident that we had in the last race, and appreciate everybody's support in the league so far with my last win and now this one too. So thanks everybody for the continued support.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight, Crawdad, and I look forward to seeing you, if not next week, in a couple weeks at Phillip Island.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Alrighty, folks, as I put myself in the wrong area. Anyhow, that is going to conclude our coverage here tonight of round number 2 of the J2Y Endurance Series. And my name is Mason Heimbaugh, bringing you the action here tonight. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you all in not only next week for the Sprint Series, but also in 2 weeks for the 3rd round of the Endurance Series at Phillip Island. If you haven't already, get yourself subscribed. Hit the like button if you haven't as well, if you liked what you saw here tonight. And also, if you want to get in on some of the action here with Just Two Idiots, head on over to their website at J2ICS.com and get some more information there. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you all same time, same place next week, right here on the same channel. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.
Oh, Pearson gets it in the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to come out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the 1-on-1 up into 2nd place. Alex Johnson 6/10 to lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.